Good evening. Nice to see you. I'm doing a sit and talk for a couple of reasons. One, the wind is outside, and when I was walking, you couldn't hear anything because the microphone was being blasted. But also, this is our 22nd anniversary, Holly and I, and so we did some excursions to celebrate that. Truth of the matter is, we almost both forgot it until midnight. For some reason, we realized this is 22 years. This is our celebration. So let's talk about a couple of serious things that are going around. There is kind of an avalanche of cruelty, bad government, efforts to help Trump become the dictator he wants to be, visions of his terror in connection with a visit by Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, fighting a war for years when they thought his country could survive at best a couple of days. Let me first give a kind of outline, a comparison of something that I think is appropriate here. In other words, something that helps us encompass what we're dealing with so maybe we understand how we go forward. Okay, in history, there was a Christian from Asia Minor named Marian. He was thought to be a heretic. Why? He asked, would a God who is almighty, all-powerful, create a world that includes suffering, pain, and disease? Now, this is a good question anyhow, generally, but his answer is what got him into a lot of trouble. He thought there must be two gods. There have to be two gods. One is the good God and the other is the bad God. And we know which God Trump follows, consciously or not, even into the fires of hell and damnation, trying to take as many as he can with him. Does that sound like our leader, in air quotes? Sure does. Now, poor Marian, if he just said devil and evil, we would more easily connect Trump to the bad God and to his own lost nature at our expense as he seeks to become the dictator of America. Yesterday, we saw Trump naked in his arrogance and childish behavior. There was no ketchup for him to throw at the walls. But he made as clear a statement as he could in his attack against Zelensky. Diplomatic? Hardly. And it was evocative of his confrontation with the governor from Maine, because he threatened her in open at a huge affair. The kind of talk, I am the president of the United States and I have a protection racket, and you better do what I tell you to do or you'll be punished in some way or other, personally or in your public office. That's who he is. So here he is talking to the president of Ukraine, a man who daily risks his life in a war brought by Putin to oust Zelensky and anyone who would deny Putin his first prize on his reimagining of the Soviet Union since Gorbachev shut down the Soviet Union. Now, there are still commentators out there saying that Trump doesn't understand and this or that. Well, he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows what he's doing, and plainly, he has a deal with the enemy, with Putin, and would stand up, and we need someone to stand up and say so. That's our problem here. Now, let's go back to Zelensky. Trump says to Zelensky, if you don't deal with me, you're responsible for World War III. Whoa. Isn't that an amazing statement to make? As he seems to be wrestling us away from NATO and helping them, and away from Zelensky and Ukraine, on behalf of Russia, who is linked to North Korea and China. Is that our imagining of our foreign relations and our domestic policy to the betterment and safety of America? I don't think so. Now, Trump asked for respect, but he actually got, but he didn't deserve it. Trump asked for gratitude. Vance, who was sitting there sitting at the edge of his chair, waiting to pounce on Zelensky, he says, "You haven't said thank you." Well, and he said correctly, Zelensky has repeatedly said thank you to us, the U.S. of A. And consider the fact that it's something for them to make such a statement when Trump has not supported the funds for Zelensky to fight the war. But he'll think about it, Trump will think about it, if he gets the materials within the earth of Ukraine that was the deal that was going to go forward. But I think Trump decided on a different course of action. I think he thought he was just going to abuse Zelensky and get away with it. And anybody who knows this man and watched him change publicly, and I'm sure those who've dealt with him privately, see a man who's fighting for his nation, doing everything he can, dressing as he should as a wartime public official, and trying to find the support across the world for something that normally you would think we would be on the side of Ukraine, and we were, until we elected this fella to, I say we, I was not one of those who did that, but he has been elected and no one has challenged it successfully. So he's elected. Now, what is he up to? I mean, give you a broad brush right now today of what he's doing. He, by Elon, that is Trump, wants information on migrants who paid their taxes. Because if he gets their address, he can go to their house and he can arrest them, he thinks. IRS said, forget it, you're not getting that information. Trump wants to fast track the deportation of 1 million migrants. The details of fair process be damned, and not yet disclosed, so we don't know exactly how he would do this. But he's not going very quickly right now, but he is scaring a lot of people. And he's scaring people who think it matters in the Fifth Amendment to our Constitution that we have due process, life, liberty, and property. And we don't have that with this man. And due process, what does that mean? Fundamental fairness. So, yeah, doing it right takes a little longer, but it also saves us from going after the wrong people, assuming that there's any truth to the allegations that Trump advances in connection with his Get the Immigrant campaign. Now, in a larger landscape, which is, and this is troubling, Trump has the military at our Mexican border. What is that about? They're not just standing around helping people load trucks or things like that. And they're writing rules for faster and easier uses of arms, military arms. This is something to be concerned about. These things have to be read together. There's not enough of a synthesis of all these matters going on at the same time for us to formulate the resistance correctly. So we have 80 lawsuits, we have public demonstrations by people, we have a Congress in which the members appear to have tape strapped across their mouth so they can't speak to the hideous choices that are being made by Trump without strong opposition to stop him from what he's doing. There's a purge of equal opportunity offices by Trump. More private prisons are being brought online. Who is going to be invited to lodge at one of these prisons? And for what offenses? Will there be a need for there to be offenses? Will it be enough if you're just critical of the president? Environment is not safe either. We just had a vote in Congress, and you may appreciate that 1/3 of the rise in global temperature since the Industrial Revolution has come from methane gas. Congress is getting rid of the fines for releasing these gases. The vote in Congress, and this is we're on a nice edge in so many of these rulings, 52 to 47. That's a disaster. That's a tragedy. That's not something that we should be able to tolerate. That's something we must change. The idea is this: there's more of a profit to the polluters if they don't have to worry about things like paying fines. But there's more danger to the citizens of the United States when we are not hemming in the expansion of these gases to our detriment, even if it's to the profit of the very rich. The questionnaires that we heard about and that everybody is breathing a little easier because they don't exist anymore, well, they do exist. And the questionnaires are coming back. And they may be done by agency instead of by OPM, as was the first round. And they may not just be a one-time affair, they may be weekly. I've advised a couple of people what they should do is try to comply as best you can and get your resume out, because this is not going to be done well or right or just. It's not going to show equanimity among us as citizens and as people. It's not going to be done based on the merits. It is almost fair to say it is an effort to destroy our government as it exists and to make it weak. By that token, Trump presents a clear and present danger to our republic and to our democracy. And not enough people are doing anything about it. So we're going to pay slowly All of us are going to pay in some way or other. And to think that you can avoid the disaster that's coming, the tsunami of trashy views and rules and regulations, all of which constrict our freedom, do not expand them, is at direct odds for what this nation was all about. We said in the Declaration of Independence, we're all equal. We said in the Constitution, it's ours. We, the people, are the one making this Constitution. The social contract that Locke spoke about, that the, quote, founding fathers adopted. So what do we have to do? You do whatever you can, however little it is. Pick up the phone, leave a message for your congressman, even if he's for it. And the motivation is easy. Talk while it's not too late. Save our country. Get off your ass and do something. You're being paid something, earn it. We will find a way to fire you. But the trouble is, if we're not acting now, by the time we can fire you, which takes 2 years, maybe too late. So, those are a few of the thoughts I had. I made some notes because I didn't want to overlook a couple of things. So I apologize for looking down. I don't usually look down. And I want to tell you that it's nice to be with fellow travelers as a method of expression that was considered unfortunate years ago. And we're fellow travelers because we believe that the country as conceived and as it's been executed, sure, with errors along the way, but progressing to the better in dramatic ways at different times in our history. This is one of those. The life beat of our democracy is on the line. And if we do not administer the kind of resuscitation of its values quickly, we will lose them. So that's what I have to say. I may be on the trail tomorrow. I understand it's going to be cold and wet and things. We'll see what it's like. But anyhow, have a good day. Bye-bye.